Okay, you're listening to the Super League Pod, coming up on episode 140 of your favourite Rugby League podcast. We've got all your feedback and shout-outs, news from around the world of Rugby League. We'll be taking a look back, excitedly so, over round 12 of Super League and ahead to the future as we preview not only round 13 of Super League play, but also the upcoming international features. You may even get a Mark rant. Strap yourselves in, kids. It's time for your favourite podcast, the Super League Pod. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 140 of the Super League Pod. Tom and Mark here with you, as always, to run through everything that's been going on in the world of Rugby League, both in the Northern and Southern Hemisphere this week. But before I bring Mark in, I'd like to dedicate this episode to the memory of a very dear friend of mine, Jonathan Lee, who tragically passed away earlier this week, having been knocked off his bicycle cycling home from work. John was 36 when he passed away and leaves behind a wife and two beautiful daughters, and a nicer guy you could not have hoped to meet. Genuinely one of the most admirable, honest, kind men that I've ever had the privilege of knowing, and as I probably said earlier, I'd like to dedicate this episode to his memory. Okay, Mark, how are you? How's your week been? You're looking a bit bleary-eyed and tired. I think we're both in the same sort of boat, really, aren't we?
Yeah, don't expect a
I can hardly see. I don't see effervescence when I look at you.
Rant-filled episode that everyone's clamouring for. Yeah, it's been a weekend that's been dominated by patchy sleep patterns as I've been sort of drifting in and out of keeping up with the NFL draft, because it's been sort of on my mind whilst I've been sleeping, sort of thing. And then obviously I had a nice trip over to Castleford and met up with Fat Boy Rob, as people will know him off Twitter and that, and had a beer with him before the Castleford game, and some of his friends that he goes travelling around the country watching the Tigers with, so that was really nice to meet those guys. And yeah, then pretty much, did the normal bank holiday thing of going out for a few beers and stuff on the Sunday night, and being a bit hungover now today. Yeah,
fair enough. Well,
how about you? You've had a monster week.
We did talk about it last week.
Did you enjoy Disney and your birthday?
Disney
in particular, your birthday tea.
Disney was it was lunch actually. Disney was fabulous. Erin had a whale of a time. We were both absolutely exhausted. I'm still knackered now. I've not really had a chance to stop, so I won't call it a holiday. I'd call it an experience. But it was everything I hoped it would be in terms of my little girl enjoying it and how easy everything was. So I can heartily recommend it. To be honest, the people I saw having the most fun there were the couples without children. I think that goes some way to enjoying it. I did think about Rugby League and you guys on a couple of occasions whilst I was over there, particularly when I bumped into the French version of you, who was loading people onto a train. That really did cause me to do a double take.
Me too, to be honest. I thought, shit, I've never seen that jacket. Where did I wear that?
Where did I get that sexy hat from? The other thing I did to occupy myself, because Erin was very, very good at kind of making friends with other people in the queue and talking to them and stuff while the queues were going on. And there is a significant amount of queuing to be done. I know they all say fast past this and fast past that, but on my first day, I was kind of stood in queues thinking I need to find a way to occupy myself. So I started playing a little game I'd invented, which was Spot the Rugby League player. Now, obviously, there's not a lot of Rugby League players going at Disneyland, certainly not professional ones. So what I was looking for were lookalikes, and I had a right good time doing it. And in the first sort of 2 hours, I spotted tattoo-free Ranny Chase and extra fat Paul Gallen. And then I stopped playing because...
Did he fall over?
No.
Is that how you recognise him?
No, it did. He looked like extra fat, like a French Paul Gallen. But then I stopped because I saw a Dutch woman who was the absolute spitting image of Sam Friday, and I thought, I'm not going to beat this. So I thought game over at that point. So we'll just sort of enjoy the queuing a little bit more. But it was good. My birthday, as you alluded to, was on the Friday whilst we were over there, and Erin was lovely. She woke up the birthday boy with cuddles and kisses and gave me a little card and stuff, and it was perfect. Just how I don't like a big fuss, so it was
bullshit. But go on.
Not in terms of I like attention and I like having a laugh and stuff, but like with birthdays and stuff, I've had enough of them now. I've had plenty. There's not a lot of new stuff happening, Mum. So just socks and boxes will do for me. But we did take Erin for lunch with the princesses at like a swankier restaurant at Euro Disney, and that was just insane. Erin was like, it was like how I get when I meet like Robbie Paul or people, do you know what I mean? Like, hi Robbie, how are you? And all that. She was like that, but with like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and all those guys.
Did she buy it then? Did she like 100%. Fall for the
100%?
Thinking they were the real princess.
Oh yeah. And she did ask a couple of times about certain things, like is it real? And I wasn't disavowing of it. I know it's probably a shade dishonest, but she's 5, and you know, let her have a bit of enjoyment. Yeah, life catches up with you pretty quickly.
It's the magic kingdom, or
exactly that. She did catch me out at one point. We went on the Ratatouille ride where it like shrinks you down to the size of a rat, and you do it in 3D.
Yeah.
Is that real? I said, yeah, we were rats. Did you not see your ears? And then, like a day later, we were saying, like, what's the next? Like towards the end of it, we were saying, well, what are the things you want to do? Like, we'll go and do them again. She's like, can we do Ratatouille? And right in the queue, really loudly, she went, so we're going to turn them into rats again, Dad? I was like, no, Erin, it was just a ride. I was like, but you said we turned into rats. You know, that kind of 5-year-old, like, got the bit between the teeth. You've obviously been having me on here, you prick, kind of attitude. But the whole week was fabulous. Obviously tempered quite significantly by the news I got about John midway through. But he was a family man, and what can you do but, you know, look out for and spoil your loved ones while you've got them and cherish them that way. So we cracked on, and then I was back this weekend and
talk about people who wouldn't want to fuss, and I think he's at the front of that queue.
Yeah, precisely. But got back this weekend on the Saturday, went round to my Emma's and was spoiled absolutely rotten.
In an empty pub.
New gear, very expensive aftershave by a bloke I've never heard of, a guy called Tom Ford, but he makes very nice smelling stuff. Couple of new outfits and bits and pieces, and taken out for tea to what looked like an empty pub from the angle that we took one picture of, but then we went to a nice restaurant as well afterwards. So I've done very well indeed. I've been spoiled rotten, so it's been a lovely week. Who has been getting in touch whilst I've been away?
Right, so we dive into it straight away, really.
Yes.
I think we bookend this with some England international conversation kind of stuff. So it's Alan Walker. We start with @Alan Paul Walker if you want to follow him on Twitter.
And we recommend you do, because he's absolutely hilarious.
He said, fucking hate how some people are talking about this NRL game against Samoa as if it's a real game. It's basically a way that the NRL gets to fill its schedule for Anzac weekend games when the telly in Australia might be all AFL. So they put on games that for other Aussie-based players for Samoa, Tonga, PNG. These countries can't exist outside World Cups without these matches. If England were supporting these countries, they'd play the game in Samoa, not Campbelltown. It's an excuse for Supercoach Bennett to help the NRL and his agent friends in Australia. What games are on in the UK that weekend? Why support the NRL who don't do shit for ESL? I watch the NRL every week. I love it, but it does nothing for the international game. Neither does England becoming an emerging nation.
It's a very strong point, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the timing of the whole thing, we can use it to our advantage. That's what I'd say. We can use it to our advantage. But I, having heard that, start to think I agree with the conspiracy theory a little bit, that it does just pad out the calendar a little bit for the Aussies. But it is a big opportunity for a lot of England players, and it is, as we spoke about last week, I still think a useful opportunity for fringe guys to audition for roles within the team.
Well, yeah, but I think Bennett's seeing more of it as putting the team he wants to be together as much as he can be together. I don't think he's trying to find out about those fringe battles.
Do you not think?
No, I think he's trying to put out what, well, obviously is hampered when we get to the news section. We'll talk about his halfback conundrum now. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with almost every argument on both sides of this thing. I'm so
it's conflicting, isn't it?
Yeah, so conflicted about every aspect of this fixture, but I just hope England win and the one Wigan player that'll now be on the plane comes back healthy, because boy, we can't fucking do with another injury.
Probably trip down the steps getting back to Manchester.
So there you go, yeah.
Okay, who's next?
Neil McEwen @NeilMcEwen4600. Get around him. He said 4:30 at work, sad face, but it's okay. It's Tuesday morning, so it's Super League pod time to help the drive. Finally, as a witness fan, I can listen smiling.
Excellent. I think it was his missus who got in touch sort of immediately afterwards and called him a bit of a geek, didn't she, on Twitter? So
well, we don't
care. We don't care at all, Neil. We're geeks ourselves. So
I think Rob, when I met him, was sort of accused of the same sort of thing by his mate.
Listening to the podcast.
He knows so much more about podcasts than we know. I don't think he realised just how rank amateurs we are in this game.
Have you disavowed him of that opinion then?
Well, he's aware now. We ain't got a fucking clue what we're doing. But yeah, he was well at hand. So we enjoy people like Neil and Rob and the likes.
Well, the fact that he's so impressed by us and knows so much about podcasting says that we must be doing a decent job with only our dictaphone to hand.
Sarah McKenzie at Scoots28Mac. Of course, you should get around Sarah. She's probably leading the first lady of Super League Pod Stakes these days.
Oh, absolutely. She's podcast royalty.
Thanks to everyone who voted for Mighton Warriors, who won the bag of balls. Super League Pod listeners' votes very much appreciated. The giveaway that Hull FC were running there was a vote of some local clubs, and we shared out the Mighton, backed the Mighton cause, didn't we, on Twitter? And I'm glad that we were able to contribute positively towards that. And let's hope young Joshua puts those balls to good use.
Absolutely.
Although I think he needs tackle bags more, from what I've heard. But,
right.
Colin Render at Colin_Render. He said, talking of SLP royalty, did I miss it, or did you not mention on last week's pod about listeners voting for SLP at the Brit Pod Awards?
I'm not sure if we mentioned it or not, but I did see a couple of people that had tweeted us and said they voted and put us forward. It's massively appreciated and very kind of you to do so. Yeah,
I think the thing about it all came after last week's rundown was put together, but we're so grateful for any of the support and the votes of confidence in us and that sort of stuff that these guys give. We're not for electioneering.
Did we win?
We're not for electioneering and that sort of stuff, are we? So we wouldn't be telling people to go out of the way to vote for us. If I'm telling people to go out of the way to do anything, it's leave us a match review, really, exactly. And then tell your friends about the show, because it's the community that we love. But things like this remind us just how much we appreciate the community around us.
Absolutely.
So, thanks for everyone who gave us a nod in that direction.
Couldn't have put that better. Well done.
Bob Phillips, Dr. Bob Phillips, said nephrectomy shouldn't alter return to training any more than another fairly major op.
This is the kidney removal.
On that bit of your body would. In my line of work, kids who have kidney cancer are often up and out of hospital running around in 5 days and have more chemo in them by 10 days. So obviously this is a link to the Tony Clubb conversation we had about last week. So Dr. Bob seems to think that a smooth operation should lead to him being up and ready to train again by the end and get back into the action sort of by the end of the season, which is what the Wigan medical staff also expect.
Do you think they, how you sometimes get songs in your head out of nowhere? Do you think when things go well in theatre for Bob and other surgical types, do you think they hear Sade and start humming "Smooth Operation, Smooth" to themselves? Or is that just me? That'd be what I would be doing. Years of medical training notwithstanding.
Maybe they do it through it to sort of...
I'd love to know what he listens to in theatre.
Confidence. I don't know if Bob operates. Okay. I'm not sure if if he does the surgical side of things, or if he's more like a diagnostician and that sort of stuff.
I can see Bob with a bit of Cat Stevens on. Yeah. Something like that.
Well,
could be wildly wrong now. Rocky Horror Show.
Whatever he does, we appreciate the work of Dr. Bob and all these other people fighting the good cause. Absolutely. And the increasingly privatised NHS do for our country. So
massively
big up to them. Paul Michael Craig at _. In fact, just before we get on to Paul, we've got quite a few people that work in the medical profession that get around the show or get in touch with the show, like Sarah's dad, John. He's a nurse, and Owen Hughes is a nurse and that sort of stuff. So
Paul O'Brien works in the healthcare field, I believe.
So all of those people out there doing massive great service to our country, they're the sort of roles that I really respect people in massively.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Paul Michael Craig at PaulMac_78. Is Danny Brough the best English-born player to have never played a test for England or Great Britain in the Super League era?
Did Lee Breers not come into the thought process there?
Pretty sure.
He can't turn out for Great Britain. because we were giving him shit when he played for Wales that he'd never got an England cap or never got a Great Britain cap. I think Lee Breeze
would be the other one.
Breeze is the standout for me.
Whether he played maybe one game or something, or was selected in a squad or something. Bruff's never been really there at all, has he, for it?
It probably has a good deal to do with the fact that he's a proper gobshite, because his performances on the field would lead you to think he would be in the conversations, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Lee Breeze was always one I was